What's going on, everybody? I'm Chris, and welcome back to The Conservative Atheist. I do want to thank all of you guys who have been interacting with the content. So I have this on a few different places. So I've got a YouTube channel that I've been posting this podcast to, as well as minds.com, and also, of course, all the regular podcast platforms. So I'm actually very, very flattered with the amount of support that I've got from you guys. I've really had no negative feedback, and that's really great considering the type of content that I make, and just given the atmosphere today, just talking about politics and religion in general. But I do think that's about to change today. I really do. We're about to hit a really hot button issue. Before we get into it, though, I just want to say it has been a while since I did my last podcast. And I do want to apologize for that. Let me just give you a rundown of all the stuff that we've been going through. So we had a death in the family. We ended up inheriting all of her belongings, and I miss her dearly. Rest in peace. We had to go clean out this lady's apartment and bring it all back to my house. Then I had to separate out what we are keeping and just figure out what to do with it. Plus, I have 3 daughters, 1 broken arm, and all 3 of them have been sick with going from pink eye to upper respiratory problems, and it has just been catastrophic here lately. So I'm glad to be back doing it, man. And so we're going to get into today is the hysteria around trans issues, and I don't understand it. I don't understand why it's such an issue. Yes, I am a conservative, but I'm really I'm very libertarian on a lot of things. That's small L. I don't belong to any party. I'm NPA as of right now. But this has become one of the most divisive topics to talk about today. And why is that? Why is trans issues such a hysterical mess to discuss? You want to know why? Politics. Nothing more. The left is using this like they do with everybody that they say that they represent and that they are for and that they are trying to defend. They are using these issues, and a lot of these are real issues, and they're using them as a bludgeon, as a tool against their opponents. Most people don't care, even conservatives. It's the deeply religious conservatives that you hear complaining, and I obviously don't fall into that category. I'm an atheist. There are quite a few secular conservatives, as I've been trying to point out. That's one reason I say why I started this, was just to kind of get that out there. Because a lot of people, I've even had somebody in the comments saying that they were happy to find a like-minded person out in the wild, because it's just so rare to find someone who's conservative and atheist. And I think a lot of that has to do with stigma coming from both sides of the aisle. So I want to again say that you can be yourself here. I don't mind criticism, support, whatever you want to do. I'm totally for it, man. I'm all about the free speech thing. So, secular conservatives don't really care about, and I'm not saying we don't care about trans people. We don't care the same way that conservative Christians do. A lot of it, because they try to bring up the Bible, and this is a sin, and it's just like with the whole with gay issues, which we're gonna make a video about that. I've got so many videos that I want to make around these topics surrounding religion and politics, because they say those are the 2 things that you're not really supposed to discuss, and that's the 2 things that I want to discuss. But my views are this. I want people to live their best life. I want people to live their life on their own terms without having to answer to anybody, or without the government or somebody else getting in their way of doing what they want to do. And that's for the most part. There are a very few instances where that's not the case, and we will get into those later. But listen, if you want to dress as a female and live your life as a female, and you were born a male, that is fine. I don't care. Most people don't care. So this notion that people on the right, or conservatives in general, are oppressing the LGBT community, or trans people, or gay people, it's just not true. It's not. Nobody is being oppressed. if you consider somebody having opposing opinions or somebody disagreeing with your lifestyle, if you call that oppression, then I feel sorry for you, and I hope that one day you grow some thick skin, because you gotta have it nowadays. You know, like the use of pronouns, and the reason that's I don't understand. A lot of these things I think were made up as a way to bludgeon people that you disagree with politically. And here's what I mean. When you use pronouns, you're usually talking in the third person about somebody. If I say, if I'm using a pronoun, then the person that I am referring to with that pronoun is not in my presence, more than likely. So why would you be offended if somebody didn't know your pronouns? Or why do you feel you have to let everybody know your pronouns? You're not going to be around when those pronouns are used, more than likely. Another thing that you hear all the time is the bathroom issue, which, listen, the bathroom issue is just so, it's a hard one. Here's how I look at it. I have 3 daughters. 3 daughters that I love with all of my heart. Everything I do is for my children. I will protect them in whatever way possible. I'm going to give you just an example. If we're out in public, out shopping, and my children have to use the bathroom, I will go with them and stand. Well, either me or my wife will go with them and stand outside the door. If she's with them, she'll go in with them and wait until they come out. Now, while I'm waiting, if I see somebody walk into that restroom that doesn't look like they belong there, I'm going to make an issue about it. There's going to be a problem. And that's not got anything to do with trans people. That has to do with, there are people that are sickos, that are disgusting, pervert, pedophiles, and that, oh, the thought of it just makes my blood boil. And that's the issue that people have. People aren't saying, oh, if you're born this, you have to use this restroom. No, what we're saying is there are people that are going to take advantage of being able to use whatever restroom. People are going to use that to their advantage. People with sick intentions. And I will stop that at whatever cost. Now, if you're listening to this, I assume you know about Jordan Peterson and all the controversy surrounding him, and the way he came to fame, so to speak. And that is, he is against compelled speech, against the government telling you have to say this, you have to use these words. I'm 100% on there with you, brother. I won't be told what to say by anybody ever. I might be banned from YouTube. Either this video might be blocked. I have no idea, but I will say what is on my mind. And a lot of people overlook this, but he has said in several interviews, and I agree with this also, I have no problem, he has no problem using the language for a trans person that coincides with their identity, what they identify as. I have no problem doing that. I've worked, and there's only been one that I knew of. I've worked with one trans person, and I had no problem calling her a she, because it was a respectful thing. There was never any politics involved in our talk, and I'm completely supportive of people living their life the way they want to, but you will not tell me what I have to say. This whole notion, because you want to live your life as the opposite sex, does not make you that. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. Live your life the way you want to. Be comfortable, but don't try to make me lie to myself. Don't try to change reality. Human beings are sexually dimorphic. If you don't know what that means, look it up. And yes, there are outliers. I'm not talking about the outliers. Medical conditions do exist. My whole thing is mutual respect. Somebody treats me with respect, I will in turn treat them with respect, and I would expect the same thing in reverse. Sorry about that pause right there. I'm looking around on my desk, and it looks like one of my daughters, probably my 3-year-old, has stuck an ink pen into a pencil sharpener. I was wondering what this thing was hanging off the side of the pen, and it was sitting right next to a pencil sharpener, and it has definitely been in there. So anyway, sorry about that little off-topic moment there. All right, we're getting back to it. And We're gonna move to sports now. This has been in the news very, very recently, and listen, as I was saying a minute ago, I don't mind letting people live their life as they want to, and them being comfortable in their own skin, whatever. That being said, Fallon Fox is a trans MMA fighter. Now listen, a lot of people who are going to be on the opposite side of the aisle for me, a lot of the leftist progressives, they're also feminists. And with that feminism comes certain ideas like, women shouldn't be beat on by a man. So it's okay for somebody to live 30 years of their life as a man. That's 30 years of natural testosterone and bone density and muscle mass and hip width and hand size. You're gonna look past all of that for political correctness, so this person can go and beat the shit out of a woman in a fight. But that's okay. But I bet if somebody were to, if a cis man and was to walk up and punch a woman in the face, they would be arrested, and rightly so. I don't think we should be opening that door so wide to where you let a man beat on a woman in front of an audience. Why is that okay? Explain to me why that's okay. Then you have the last week there was a track and field issue. I saw this young lady who missed out on a scholarship, I believe it was, and missed out on taking first place because they were competing against other competitors who were born as men. And I mean, listen, there are certain natural differences, chromosomal natural differences between men and women. And yes, I know there are outliers. I'm going to have to qualify this statement once again. But in most cases, men are going to be bigger, faster, and stronger than women. That is a fact. There's nothing you can do to argue that, period. But because people are scared of the PC blowback and the idiots on Twitter that are going to call for these people to be fired or banned or whatever have you, because they are scared of that blowback. I guarantee you this is the only reason. Bowing to PC culture, bowing to woke outrage. They're allowing women to be treated unfairly. They're allowing these women to be taken advantage of by men. And, I know very soon after Trump took office, there was the whole trans and the military issue, which, again, I served myself. I was in the Navy. I have no problem at all with anybody wanting to serve this country. I respect it. But if you look at the stats, the rates of mental disorder, of depression, and being suicidal are very, very high in the trans community. Very high. And you can argue as to why that is. That's not what this video is going to be about. But in an instance where you're going to be possibly on the front lines in very high stress situations, you have to take that into consideration. You have to take the safety of everybody. The safety, listen to what I'm saying, the safety of everybody involved into consideration, not somebody's feelings got hurt. I know if I were in that situation, and I was an airman in the Navy. I worked on F-18s, and that situation would be a little bit different. But say in enemy territory on the front lines, and in any instance where somebody who might have a higher likelihood of being suffering from depression or having suicidal tendencies, that has to be taken into consideration, and has nothing to do with hatred or bigotry or transphobia, which I hate. I hate the way that the word phobia, or the suffix I should say, phobia, is used nowadays. This video was almost about that, about the suffix phobia. It's scratched out on the top of my notes because that's what this was going to be about. I decided to go in a little bit of a different direction, though. I kind of lost track of where I was. I just had to answer a phone call from the wife, so I don't exactly remember what I was talking about, so we're just going to move on to the next one, and that's going to be, we're going to talk about trans kids. And, man, there's so much wrong with this notion. Listen, it's such a hard issue, man. It really is. You want your kids to be comfortable with who they are. You want your kids to be happy. But they're still kids. If you're letting a young child, who say might be 7, 8, 9, even like early teens, if you are letting them make that kind of a choice at such a young age, I really wonder about your morals. I really do. If you're going to go to a doctor and try to get your young child on puberty blockers before they've ever even hit puberty, before they've even had a chance to actually live, then I think that there's something wrong with you. I understand wanting your kids to be happy, but I think a lot of times this goes beyond that, and it goes to, look how woke I am. And that's really sad, because your kids are going to be the one that suffers because of that. And you have this young, I'm not even going to say his name because I don't want to promote it, but the boy who was made such a spectacle of, and how he's dressed in a sexual fashion. And I'm going to say he because he's a kid. So miss me with all the bullshit. He's a kid who hasn't had a chance to figure out who he is. To be honest, I want to say it's around 20. It's like your early to mid 20s before your frontal cortex is actually fully developed. I think that should be taken into account when dealing with this stuff. But there's a video going around of this particular child on stage. And I'm going to say stripping because that's what it is. You can call it a costume change. You can make excuses for this perverted behavior all you want to. But dancing for money, dressed sexually as a young boy, everybody involved needs to be taken care of. And by that I mean legally. It needs to be checked out, because there's nothing about that that's okay. I don't care how woke you are. That's disgusting. That's how pedophiles do. That's very pedophilic in nature. Children don't know anything about the world except for what their parents tell them or what they're taught at school. It shouldn't be glorified. Let them live their lives. If they decide when they get older that that's how they want to live their lives, then so be it. But when your children get all loaded up on hormone and puberty blockers and hormone therapy and whatever else they're taking, and they eventually end up committing suicide, you can thank yourselves. You can thank this ridiculous, woke, progressive ideology for that. And leftists and progressives and Democrats are so quick to call somebody anti-science on the right because they might disagree with your notion on what climate change is and all those issues surrounding that, which we are also going to do a video about that. Believe me, it's coming. But you want to do that and then try to tell me that a man is a woman or that a male is a female. No. If you want to live your life as such, that is fine. But you cannot tell me that just because I feel like a woman means I'm a woman. No, I'm a man that feels like a woman. And I'm not saying I am. I know that's going to be taken out of context. You can dress a certain way. You can take hormones. You can have surgeries. But at a chromosomal level, you will be what you are. As of yet, science ain't there yet. I'm sorry. Maybe it will be one day. But to call somebody else anti-science because they disagree with something that has been very politicized, like climate change, and then turn around and try to pull the wool over somebody's eyes and try to change reality or try to change just scientific fact, then I'm sorry, you're wrong. There's nothing scientific about that. That is, for the most part, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, it's politics. That's all. So you can say, oh, look, I feel this way. I see things this way, so I'm not a bigot. If you're against me, then you're a bigot. You're a bad person, and your opinion doesn't matter, and you don't need to be heard, and you need to be deplatformed, and yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. That's what all this stuff is being used for. And it is a cultish mentality, because you want to push some obvious nonsense and try to call it fact, and then any dissenters need to be silenced. If you disagree, then you're wrong and you need to be punished, and the only way to salvation is through this thought process, or through this ideology, or through this way of seeing the world. I'm sorry, there are room for opinions. Somebody can have an opposing opinion and not be a bigot. But that's where we are today. It's where we are. The left has gone so far to the left, and the right. And I see people arguing this all the time, saying that the right has gone further to the right. Not really. Everybody has shifted to the left. The right, for the most part, has shifted slightly left. The left has went way left, to where now we're voting for socialists for president. If you can't have a philosophical conversation, or a conversation about social issues or political issues without throwing around the word bigot or phobe or whatever the case may be, then there's a problem there. There's room for opposing opinions. I welcome opposing opinions. I love having these conversations. It's just becomes so hard because I automatically cut off the conversation when someone goes there. If I try to have a conversation with somebody and automatically you go to racist, bigot, sexist, homophobe, transphobe, blah blah blah, then I'm sorry, the conversation's over with right then. That's not a conversation. That's you ending the conversation by pretty much saying, what you say doesn't matter because you disagree with me, therefore there's nothing to talk about. And, I hope it changes one day. I hope things go back to where you can actually have civil conversations. You can disagree without being hateful or without attacking somebody's morality or calling them, just throwing around these accusations that are just meaning less and less each day because they're used so much. Well, I am going to go ahead and get off of here. Again, like I said, the family's been a little bit sick and my throat's getting a little scratchy and I'm having to stop and cough. And so we're going to go ahead and end this right now. I want to thank everybody for listening. Make sure that if you enjoy, even if you didn't enjoy it, go ahead and let me know why. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel because I'm recording these and then I'm uploading them, as I said earlier, to YouTube, also minds.com, and under all the major podcast platforms. And that's all going to be under The Conservative Atheist. You can also find me on Twitter, which I like to post memes and stuff that I consider humorous. So again, thank you everybody. I want to thank everybody again that has been supportive of what I'm doing. I really do appreciate it, man. I love the support that you guys have been showing me. And as long as I keep getting this kind of support, I'm going to keep doing this. And but I am going to need your help for this thing to grow. So if you don't mind, share it in whatever way you possibly can if you like it, and engage with me. Let me know your thoughts. Until next time, everybody take care of yourselves and God bless. Just kidding. Y'all take care.